What's up, everybody? This is Life Coach D coming back at you with Vision Chronicles. I do believe I left off having landed my feet here in California, October 1st, 1992. So let me pick up there. So I was super excited. I knew this is where I was supposed to be. Like I said, there was a connection. If you looked at the previous video where I talked about knowing that at about 7 or 8 years old, I was supposed to be in California. And so here I am here. You couldn't tell me anything at this point. I knew that I was supposed to be here, and in my mind, I was going to be the next Denzel. I was going to be acting, writing, and directing on my way to Los Angeles. But part of that pit stop would be Oceanside, California. So shortly after being here, I found out the lay of the land. I registered for school because I definitely wanted to finish my schooling, and I would begin school in January of the following year, 1993. Prior to that, completely inquisitive, finding out what was going on. And at the same time, I had some very specific instructions after being prayed for. As I explained before, I am a spiritual being having a physical experience. And one of the things that was suggested that I fast one day a week. Well, I did that religiously and forgot one week, and I just felt like God told me it's okay, go ahead and fast 21 days. And that 21-day fast would turn out to be very pivotal in some of the direction that I would take. Moving forward. So I do everything I need to do while I'm here. Like I said, registering school was pivotal. And then I ended up going back to Michigan for Christmas, and I came back in 1993. So January of 1993 comes up. I ended up finding a place where I could worship. Also began to start school, was preparing for school towards the end of the year. Met some very, very good friends at that point. People that I would end up being in a singing group with, and some other very interesting things that I will address later took place as a result of me joining this particular place of worship. So the cool part about going back to school is there were several things that I needed to do. One of the things that I had mentioned, and obviously you have to go back to other videos to know why this particular part of the video will make sense. But remember, I walked into Tennessee State lacking in math. I don't think I've mentioned that I was on academic probation, and it took me several years throughout that 4-year process being at Tennessee State to get the basic level of math, because I was in remedial math, and remedial math was classes that you took to prepare you for the mainstream math class. Well, unfortunately, I had an Iranian teacher, I had an Indian teacher, and each year I would get a different teacher. And so by the time I fought through the language barrier, that the class would be over. So I failed math over and over again. So fast forward to 1993 at a local JC here in California, and I ended up taking college algebra. And by God's grace, I finished college algebra within a year. I took care of that and got that off my belt. So it was a huge, huge relief off my chest. And it built my confidence, because once again, my confidence was stolen back in 8th grade going into 9th, where unfortunately the special education system thought it was cool to take me out of math. And so I was able to reconnect with math in that way. Fast forward a little bit further. As mentioned, the OVC and the SWAC conference change did some devastating things to me. So I want to fast forward a little bit further into next year, going into 93, 94. One of the things I began to do after connecting with a family out here, and I ended up mentoring a couple of young men, that in turn turned into me being at a local high school where I would begin to volunteer coach. One of the things that happened as I went back home in 1993, and sorry for going back and forth, but I'm trying to give you some clarity. Once again, trying to remember all this stuff and put it all together so that it makes sense. Keep in mind, this is all being done visually impaired, but I was very, very advantageous. I was very, very tenacious as well, and I wouldn't let anything stop me. But one of the things that was really cool, because I grew up in a prophetic ministry, was that when I went back home in 1992, going into 1993, my pastor looked at me and said that God was going to use me in the area of track and field. And I thought it was very interesting, because nobody knew, or I hadn't really verbalized out loud how devastated I was not being able to run at Tennessee State. And so that was prophesied, in the accuracy in which the pastor that I was under for 18 years walked in was amazing. It was 100% accuracy, and things would come to pass. So fast forwarding back to 1993, going into 94, I began to volunteer at a local high school, and this was one of the young men that I felt like God had placed in my life for me to help raise. And I volunteered, and that would begin a 30-year career in track and field. in the midst of the whole track and field arena, I began to also compete again. And I was doing local meets here in Southern California where I can actually get my feet wet and get back in there, and started training vividly and was competing. And so with that being said, started going back to school at Maricosta, took some classes here. Maricosta was the name of the JC, and I had some acting classes in there. The coolest part of my classes was that I had a very, very well-connected teacher. And so I can tell you to this day that I've appeared on several TV shows. I'll just say that one would be Renegades, and I'm definitely aging myself with that. Several episodes of Renegades I was able to be an extra in. Silk Stockings was another TV show that I was able to be extra in, and also a show called Veronica Mars. And what's really cool about that is the teacher allowed his connects to get us opportunities to do some acting, and so I was able to do that. So it was part of my dreams were still being fulfilled. The crazy part about it, I tell people all the time, is if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Keep in mind, I was coming to California to be Denzel Jr. I was supposed to be the next famous actor in Hollywood. I was supposed to be writing, directing, and producing, and that was De Niro's goal. But what ended up happening was I started coaching track and field, which I began to love. That turned into me actually getting into education, where I worked in special education, and I was able to be a huge part of helping people who were in the position that I was growing up. And then also I ended up in ministry school. This was not my plan. So at one time between 1994 to 1998, I was going to school in the daytime. I was coaching in between it, and I was going to ministry school at night. And so my days are completely full, and I was yet living my dream. The acting thing died down a little bit. I didn't do a whole lot of that after the first couple of years, but I began to focus in completely with the coaching and also with ministry school, where I ended up obtaining my associate's degree in theology that turned into a bachelor's degree in theology. And also I began a 17-year career working in special education, where autism was the focus. I said all of that to say, transitioning out to California, although I thought was going to be one thing, it ended up being something completely different. And so if I can encourage anybody in this video as I'm ending, and I'll pick up later in the next video, is with this. Pursuit of destiny has 100% to do with us feeling like we have something to do, and then pursuing it with everything that you have. So I had dreams, I had hope, I had dreams, I had hopes, and I had aspirations. In my mind, part of those dreams, hopes, and aspirations had to do with me becoming this major actor and working in the industry. Although I did do that, it wasn't in the capacity or nor near the capacity that I thought I would be working in. However, some of my dreams were fulfilled. And if I can encourage any of you, is to know that as long as you have breath in your body, never give up on any of your dreams, on any of your hopes or aspirations. Set goals, try to reach those goals, try to attain those goals, but along the line or on that path of destiny, just know things may differ. They may go left or may go right, but ultimately you will fulfill your full potential and destiny if you stay the course. Don't let anything stop you. This is a visually impaired person who was told at age 10 years old that I was going to be completely blind and to not plan anything that you've heard me talk about in these videos. And so that is the encouragement for you. Never let anybody tell you you can't do anything. You put your mind to do it, and you go ahead and you pursue it, and you fulfill your dreams and destiny. Okay. That is what I have. So until you guys hear from me again, I want you to remember your lives are very valuable. Much love. God bless you. Peace be the journey. And Vision Chronicles will continue.